All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Sonja Grace is here. Tomorrow night, James Fox. We'll be talking about his movie release that is coming up. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. But tonight, it's all about Sonja Grace. That's right. Sonja is an author. She's a mystic healer. For over 30 years, has been offering her clients, both in the United States and abroad, immediate stability, clarity, and guidance. Through her healing, counseling, and spiritual processing, Sonja has a wide variety of talent to choose not only how she accesses her ability to channel and communicate, but also with the divine. She sees and receives messages from loved ones who have crossed over and offers a venue for healing in this world and the spirit world. Her ability to read and clear the karmic threads to past lives helps clients heal lifetimes of patterns. She is an energy surgeon and helps clients to identify where the discomfort is in the physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual bodies. Tonight, we're going to discuss her latest book. It's called Dancing with Raven and Bear, a book of earth medicine and animal magic. Of course, her website is sonjagrace.com, and the links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. I'd like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Sonja Grace. Sonja, good evening. How are you?
Yay! I'm just thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show. We're, just so excited, and then we got the news today about Stanton, and I don't want that. I don't want that to put a damper on a great show tonight. But you know what? That's not the way Stanton would want it. Let's celebrate the life of Stanton. But the news was pretty sad, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very sad. And, he left a tremendous legacy to the UFO community. And I know everybody's really grateful to him for that. But I'm very sad that he passed.
I'll share a really, really, really funny Stanton story. It's short, but it's very funny. He had his heart attack, right? Okay, that's not funny, but he had his heart attack. And then a few months after that, after he had his heart attack, he's at Contact in the Desert, right? And it's hot and it's dusty, and there he is. He's in shape and he's all good. But he's on my panel, and we start the panel, and he's not there, right? He's not there. And we've literally, Sonja, we've got, 1,500, 2,000 people in front of us, right? Just massive in the outdoor auditorium. And I'm introducing everybody, and then I look to my left, and here's Stanton coming down the trail, doing his best, coming, and he comes on stage. What do you say at that point? Man is 80 years old, right? 80 years old, just had a heart attack. Yeah. And he comes up, sits down, and I go, Stanton, you made it. He goes, man, I just had a heart attack, man. Give an old man a break.
Give me a break,
right?
I
was just like... And the crowd just erupts and applauds. But
great.
Yeah, just
great.
Just an amazing guy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're right. An amazing body of material that is left here, and we will always have that. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Really good.
So here we go. Let's actually start here. Let's start with the new book. And I'm anxious to learn something tonight. That's the first thing. But the title of the book says it all, doesn't it?
It does. And, I want you to know that while you were saying all that, I heard this do, 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 do. I heard this soundtrack going on while you were talking. It was great. Okay. Back to Dancing with Raven and Bear.
Okay.
I have not been smoking anything, in case you listeners out there are wondering my state of mind. I'm just very happy to be on the show. And I know some of you have talked to me in sessions, and I just want to say hello to all of you because it's exciting. I'm back on Fade to Black. So Dancing with Raven and Bear is this really, really important book. The reason it's important is because sometimes when we need to learn something, we need to get it. And we just can't get it because we have resistance. We're holding ourselves back nah, I don't really want to deal with that. No, I don't want to talk about that. Sometimes when we hear a story and it's a story that's sort of mystical and, takes you into this different state of consciousness, then we open up and we get the message. And that's why I wrote the book, is because I talk to people in sessions all day long, and I do my best to get through those hard places where people don't quite want to, open the door and say, okay, I'll deal with it, and I wrote this book for them. This is that opening where you can read a story and really go into that story and sort of experience a transformation.
Well, let's talk about Raven and Bear. Who are they?
Well, they're two characters throughout the book. Bear is a medicine man, and Raven is his sort of sidekick trickster buddy. And most of the stories take place, in the woods, in the wilderness, and there's different individual, short stories about these two characters. And I have the very first one is on grounding, grounding your energy, and then there's releasing pain. There's a chapter on power, dreaming, the burden, death, the illusion, the medicine path, love, the river's edge. I mean, there's just all kinds of really interesting messages to each of these stories, and they take place with these animals, Bear and Raven, talking to each other and encountering other things on their way. And it's a fun book. I actually just did an audio recording of the book in Los Angeles when we were all there for Conscious Life Expo. So I'm really excited that's coming out.
How can we, when we talk about both of these subjects, like earth medicine and animal magic and Bear being a medicine man, it's not really metaphor here in that there are things on this planet that Mother Earth has given us for ourselves and not necessarily big pharma. Like I said, it's not metaphor. This is actually a direct statement.
Right. I get it. And I think that this is really important that we, gosh, you and I could have a really long conversation right now about aliens, because aliens, for the most part, exist in the unseen world. And most of the time, they're either really good at staying not seen, or they actually transform from physical form to an unseen form. I've written a book basically about a relationship between Bear and Raven and various other characters in the book that fall into that sort of shaman realm of the unseen world. You've seen that Far Side commercial where the people are driving away and all the cows start talking to each other again.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like there's so much magic in this world. There's so many things that happen that are truly magical, and we can scratch our heads and go, "Wow, how'd that happen?" And and then we distrust it later, and we don't really believe it, and and next thing you know, you've forgotten that even happened. But it was truly magical at the time, and we're a little desensitized to trusting that, to really trusting what that animal magic is, what that earth medicine really is.
Why is it that so many, now our community, they get it, Sonja, they get it. They totally get it. And if they don't get it, they're trying to get it, right? Yeah. They have an open mind and they know that things are not what they are supposed to be, right? And we get that. But the vast rest of the world doesn't get it. They don't get it. There is a whole nother life out there, but what's the deal? Is it that they want to fight it, or that it's easier for them to just plod through life without a sense of wonderment?
Well, okay. I think that first and foremost, I'm going to start at the beginning. From the time we're in the womb until we're 3 years old, we're imprinting all of our parents' psychology, good, bad, and otherwise. We imprint all of it. And during that time, from the time we're in the womb until 3, we have different emotional wounds that happen. Mom leaves, goes to the store. We feel like we've been abandoned because we don't have the concept of what 30 minutes means. So we have these emotional wounds, and these emotional wounds are attached to our karma, because our karma is unresolved emotional wounds. So that abandonment that the child felt at 1 year old is triggering all of the abandonment in the past lives as well. So as that takes place and the child starts to get older, 4 or 5 years old, they're starting to cycle patterns. They're starting to actually cycle these emotional wounds. And we then become adults, and we have a more sophisticated version of that pattern and cycle that goes on through our lives until we deal with it, till we actually sit down and do the work and go inside and, process what these emotional wounds are. And again, going back to the book, this is why I wrote this book, is because some people don't want to look at their pain or their wounds or what happened to them in childhood. Some people would rather, have another drink and not think about it. But their pain body keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so their story of pain becomes it's told more often. I'm sure all of you listeners have had friends or people that they always go back, you remember what happened to me in 1985, blah, blah, blah. And there's this whole pain story that they tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're identifying with. That's the cycle and the patterns of these emotional wounds. So to me, at this point in time, it's very important that we do the work, that we actually get into the deeper part of our psyche and what's going on with with these emotional wounds that have now transformed into the adult version, and we process it, we get that stuff out. We have no problems drinking. I was listening to your commercials, drinking tea that's going to clean us out. Well, it's the same thing emotionally. We need to clean out.
And that is exactly my point when I say that so many don't wonder, right? Don't have imagination anymore. That they want to go to a 2D fixing of their system, whether it is drinking or lashing out in anger, hating the world, whatever it is, but they don't understand that there is an easier way to go about this, that it's actually not everybody else. Probably. Right. It's inside of you.
Yes, exactly. Because, while we're out in the world talking and dealing with each other, for the most part, we're in projection. We're projecting onto the other person how we feel, or we're totally in transference and we're talking to that person because suddenly they became our mother or our father. So we're really stepping up to the plate to go to bat with a whole lot of filtering systems in front of us. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of, dedication to that work to start lifting those filters so we can see the world a little clearer. And we're really witnessing this on such a grand scale right now of people being having various filters and pairs of glasses on, that they're not seeing the way that you might see reality or the way that someone else sees the reality. And part of this has to do with the fact that we've moved into the fifth dimension. We are in it. We left the fourth dimension at the end of the Mayan calendar. So we are in this higher frequency, higher vibration. Every person that calls me, I kid you not, complains and says, I have high-pitched ringing in my ears. And I cannot say this enough. This is the vibration of this fifth dimension that everybody is tuning into. I call it the symphony because to me it sounds like the beginning of the string section starting to play the strings when I have this ringing in my ears. Mm-hmm. And I know, 20-year-olds as well as 80-year-olds who have ringing in their ears. I cannot believe that the world massively has tinnitus. I really feel, and my guides have told me, this is the vibration of this fifth dimension, and we're literally hearing it. And so as people are navigating this new energy, we've never been here before. We've never been in this higher frequency. And it makes sort of doing that inner work all the more important because we have to get our energy to match the fifth dimension energy. It's not going to come and match ours. So we have to really do a lot of work here. And, as you know, there's a lot of people leaving the planet, and part of that leaving the planet wave is, it's like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to raise my frequency.
And why is it? It's always why, right? That's
I know.
It's always why. But why is it that that yes, I think that many are recognizing this inner work, that it may be something that we have to work on ourselves, but people are afraid to put in the effort. One, and two, for those that are enlightened and recognize the 4D to 5D shift, that are expecting somebody else to do the fixing, that we're going to be rescued instead of actually buttoning down and doing the inner work yourself.
Right. Exactly. Yes, I'm clapping. Bravo. That's exactly right. We are in a world community that has prescribed to two roles for, I think, since the beginning of our species being on the planet, and that is the victim and the perpetrator. Today we call it the victim and the bully, and we either play one or the other, or we do both. And as we're in this fifth dimension, as we move further into this higher frequency, we're watching duality split apart. Now, duality is how we measure everything. We go outside of ourselves to measure, ooh, that's really good. Oh, did you watch the news? That was really bad. It's like we're always measuring outside of ourselves, good, bad, right, wrong, hot, cold, duality. And duality as we know it, this big measuring system that we have, it's going to go away eventually. It's splitting apart right now, which is why we have, these huge contrasts where something seems really super good. And on the other hand, someone we dearly love has died and it's really bad. We have this vast experience of good and bad right now. And I keep telling my students, my clients, people that I work with, that the more that we can go inside, the more we can go inside ourselves and find that, that internal navigational system in our soul body that has good and bad, right and wrong, the understanding of those elements in us, and we rely on that, the more we're going to be able to survive this big, breaking apart of this system that's been in place for a long, long time. Long time.
Is it possible? Don't laugh. Is it possible to be awakened and complain? Right.
Okay, I'm going to laugh.
Because
I believe that there's a language thing here. What is awakened? What is enlightenment? What are these things? My understanding of enlightenment is, it is a very, very tough road to go down, and it's not pleasant. And there's a lot of things that a person will go through and suffer through in order to get to that place, if they even do. Now, an awakened person to me is someone who is, your audience. It's like someone who is, awake, like you understand that UFOs and aliens exist. You understand that there is a higher power, and, that there is sort of this spiritual experience that we have here on Earth that goes way beyond any religion ever thought of telling us. So that to me is sort of the awakened person. Can they still complain? Sure, because that complaining is a part of the human experience. We're still human. We still have bodies. And, this whole idea of ascension has never sat well with me, because I don't feel that gives us the responsibility that we need to take in not being the victim or the perpetrator. It takes us right back into some fairy tale of everybody ascending, and I mean, my mind kind of explodes when I say that, because the idea of ascension is taking us all away from our human experience. And whether we like it or not, whether we're really comfortable right now or not, we have a great responsibility to this planet. That's why we're here, is to take care of her. And so if we're all busy trying to leave our bodies and leave the planet, what are we, we're leaving the job.
If I get, it'll happen tonight, by the way,
Yes.
after the show. I will get an email. I get it just about daily from somebody that will actually complain about, it'll be something like this. I'm going to paraphrase. Man, I'm so tired of waiting for 5D. If it doesn't happen this year, I'm out. Right? It's everybody recognizes it. Everybody understands, but they've been hearing about it so much that I think they're expecting miracles, right? That there's going to be this 5D radical change in absolutely everything on this planet. And that's not the way it's going to happen, right?
No, because see, we're still not healed. We're still in the wounded child going, but you promised me a popsicle when you came home. You promised, it's like, boom, we go into that inner child really fast because of the wounds. And, that's the go-to place when we feel disappointed or let down, or, somehow our expectation isn't being met. And, I'm telling you, this fifth dimension is requiring everyone to not only show up and take responsibility, but it's really requiring us to sort of toe a much harder line, in my opinion, because it's uncharted territory. To me, the fifth dimension is like a big train station, and all these portals are opening up with all kinds of alien life coming through. There have been more UFO sightings now than ever before, and we're in a train station, and everybody's trying to figure out, well, where are you going to go? Which way are you going to go? Are you going to put the shovel down and say, no, I'm not working? Or are you going to pick it up and say, nope, I'm going to work even harder because I know that my responsibility for being here is to this planet and taking care of her. I couldn't agree with you more. The amount of sightings, the ability to see things has never been easier. Night vision, CE5s, night watches, sky watches. If you go out today and patiently stand and stare at the stars, you are going to see something that you cannot explain. You're going to see something that doesn't compute in your brain. Yeah. Now, it's never been like that before. No, it hasn't. And I have clients on a daily basis who are sharing with me, out of the corner of my eye, I saw this tall blue, looking alien standing there, or out of, I walked right across the porch in front of me, this weird, skinny, stick-like figure, and it was real fast, boom, and it went right across in front of me on the porch. I mean, I hear this stuff all day long. And, I clear implants out of people. I clear aliens out of people. There's a new alien that's come here to the planet that I call shadow aliens. And, I was told loud and clear that their mission is to take over humanity because they do not like how we have managed this planet. And they're stepping into people's bodies. And not to scare your audience, but I'm sure they've been more scared by than what I've said, is, they want to inhabit humans and basically take over. And I feel like this is such a wake-up call for all of us, because that kind of thing doesn't happen if you're conscious and you're dealing with being responsible and being here.
Let's take a break. Yeah, let's take a break. I'm stunned. So let's pick this up when we come back after this short break. Our guest tonight, Sonja Grace. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Sonja, what's your Twitter?
Sonja Grace Guide.
Sonja Grace Guide. We'll get it up there on Twitter, and I'll see you when we come back. Stay with us. You're listening to a preview of Fade to Black. To get the full episode, go to jimmychurchradio.com and get our podcast. Click on the podcast banner or sign up in the membership area for downloadable MP3s. Everything commercial free. Welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Sonja Grace. We're talking about her new book. It is called Dancing with Raven and Bear, a book of earth medicine and animal magic. And you can follow Sonja Grace on Twitter, Sonja Grace Guide. I've got it up there for everybody. And Sonja, right before the break, when you mentioned ringing in the ears, you should have seen Twitter light up. It was, so that's it. I've got it. Pretty interesting because I have ringing in my ears too. I always attributed it to my life in the music business, just listening, to too much Black Sabbath over the years. But I've always wondered, because I've chilled out lately listening to loud music all day long. I still listen to it, but I also have headphones on at night because I broadcast. So I wasn't sure, but maybe it is that 5D movement. Now, okay, getting back to what you had said right before the break, which is this
shadow aliens.
Yeah, this Slender Man alien. Very interesting.
That was different than the shadow aliens.
No, I picture
alien was something that a client reported to me. Yeah.
I just pictured Slender Man when you described it. That's okay. So tell us more about this.
Well, I've seen so many because of my work. Because I'm working with people all day long, and I'm clearing this stuff out of their field, and I've seen a lot of. They're not reptilians, but they have a reptile look to their face. And some of them are very dark in color. Some of them have been in a lighter color. I'm just blown away by how many different species of aliens I have seen and had to, get out of somebody's field and sometimes out of their body, because these guys are pretty serious about, getting what they need from this planet, as opposed to, going somewhere else.
Are they feeding off of our abundant negative energy?
I think that they are coming here with as much of an agenda as the human race has an agenda. I think that that's where we are not like aliens, but we have a similar thing. Like, some of them come here because they get water. Some of them come here for the natural resources. Some of them come here, like these shadow aliens, because they don't like the way we're managing this planet and they want to take it over. But there's all kinds of agendas going on. I'm just saying that, we're guilty of having agendas too.
Sure.
Humans are.
Sure.
The difference that I've seen with us is that we are very unique as a species, because we get handed a big palette when we're born that has emotions. It's these different colors that are emotions, and we paint our reality with all these different feelings and emotions. And you've heard numerous stories of grays and tall grays and reptilians having no feeling at all, just abducting someone and doing surgery on them and not caring that the person is screaming. There's no emotion there, whereas we have lots of emotion. And that's part of the gift and part of the burden of being a human, is that we have this incredible, vibratory energy that are called feelings that connect us to each other. It also is the very element that creates more karma, because when we're connecting our energy with another person's energy, like I'm angry, you're angry, we dial up the whole anger thing, and the karma wheel starts turning again, because now we're getting into sort of, the your karma, my karma, and the collective karma of quote unquote anger. So there was, again, I go back to that word responsibility, the responsibility that we have to experience being human and feel our feelings, but most importantly, ground them. Ground that energy is so high right now because of what we're dealing with. You know,
What
we're not back in the fourth dimension, you know, floating down a river sipping margaritas.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a line in the sand inside of the UFO community, which on one side, ET is benevolent. They're here for us. Like I said earlier, they're here to rescue us, right? They're here to save us. And then on the other side of the sand, this is malevolence. This is a bad situation. They are not here for us. There isn't a blending of the two on both sides of the camp.
Let me clear this up, because I hear both sides of this fence all the time. And, you know, if anybody sat in my job, in my seat all day long, dealing with what I deal with and what I can see, I think they might have a different perspective on this. I feel that the benevolent ones, the ones that are there to help us, are the demigods. The demigods, like the Egyptian gods, the Mayan gods, the Hopi gods, the Norse gods, you know, the Greek gods, all those different gods are star beings. They're much, much bigger. They're 18 feet high. You know, they're super tall. They're big. They're benevolent. They're right up there with angels. You know, they're incredible. And they're the ones that come here and help us. And I put Pleiadians in that same group, because the Pleiadians have had such an influence on our species from the beginning. I mean, it's incredible how much they've influenced us. But all these different star beings have come down and helped shape humanity at different times. Like when the comets hit Earth 12,500, or as Graham says, 12,800, 12,500, somewhere in there. When the comets hit, you know, Earth and Atlantis fell and Lemuria fell, we started a new phase of humanity. And that's when all these portals open up from the Earth, kind of like these big beams going out to the universe saying, okay, we're ready. And that's all the star beings start to come down, the demigods. And, you know, when people wonder, well, why did the people start burying all these people next to Stonehenge? Why are there these burial mounds? Well, it's because the gods, they weren't coming back. When they built Stonehenge, they said, this is our last gift to the people. This is our statement that we will always be here with you. And they were gone. And so they started burying their people next to the Stonehenge, because as the high priestesses and, you know, people in higher positions, because they wanted to bring the gods back, just like the Mayan people, you know, or the Aztec people, you know, anybody who sacrificed humans, they want to bring the gods back. And because the gods have always helped the people. Alien species are that's a whole different thing. I put them on kind of the same playing field as humans, but obviously if they're flying around space in spaceships, they're much more evolved than we are. At least technology-wise, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the point. I want to go back to what you said. What do you mean, feel our feelings and ground them?
I mean that when you get angry, it's really important to feel that anger, but to release that energy into the earth. And, you know, I have a grounding meditation that's the basis of all my work that I do. And it's literally grounding the energy from each chakra into the earth. And that we have this incredible connection to this planet that we are meant to experience. And that is our energy connected with the earth's. That's our first and foremost important connection that we need to be making. And, you know, as a species, we tend to send our energy out into the world. You know, you walk down the street and you see someone, you know, everybody's looking at this person, you know, they're like, wow, who is this person? And they're not, maybe they're attractive, maybe they're not, but they're drawing attention. And it's because their second chakra energy is not grounded at all. It's just connecting with everybody as they walk by. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. And it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's not going to get you where you need to be. And it's certainly not going to give you more power. What's going to give you more power, and I mean power in the sense of, a grounded understanding of who you are,
right,
is connecting your energy to the earth.
And going back to another point that you just made, which is this. Science today. Okay, let's back up. Let's go 75 years ago. Let's go back to Roswell, 1947, and the fantastic, unbelievably wonderful UFO flying saucer movies of the 50s. Right. It was our view that it's just like one type of alien, one type of ET, one type of culture that, one view. And it's kind of expanded into a couple or maybe a half a dozen. Science today, Sonja, is saying that in our Milky Way, there are 50 billion rocky planets. Not one, not just Earth. And what that would indicate is Earth is known to thousands of civilizations, if not millions of civilizations. And it's not one mindset that is visiting us. It's a plethora. It is. It's just not one thing that is visiting here. It could be thousands every single day.
Exactly. And the fact, we are so not trained in our eyes. When you grow up naturally in the woods or, where there's not a lot of civilization around you, there's just a natural world. You attune your eyes in a way that you see things that most people wouldn't see. You see that bird land in the tree, 100 feet off. You see the deer pass through that most people wouldn't have seen. You start seeing things that you don't normally see. And alien life, my God, there's so many of them that are really, really good at being chameleons and completely disguising themselves. I remember my husband and I were driving to the coast, and I knew there was something in the woods to my right. I knew it. I felt it. I sensed it, but I didn't look. And I held up my iPhone and I took a picture without looking. My face was still facing the windshield. Held up took the picture, and sure enough, in the picture there is a figure of a person, and it is totally alien, and it's got green, kind of green colors. That it's like a chameleon. It is literally blending in with the forest, but you could see it.
I want to see it.
I know.
I want to see your picture.
Yeah.
Send it to me. Send it to me sideways. Email off of the show. But yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah. I mean, I've taken pictures of UFOs right off my backyard here in Arizona. I mean, we have so many UFO sightings here in this state. And, I know there were lights that were seen just a couple days ago over Phoenix. And, my adopted family on the Hopi Reservation, they adopted me out there, and my husband's from the Hopi Reservation. I mean, you wouldn't believe the stories that these people have about seeing ships and going to some of the villages, and there's, these aliens walking with the people, walking around with them. This is like, maybe in the 50s when that happened. But it's crazy. I mean, we were driving there on the mesa. We're heading down the hill, and there was a UFO that came right over us and hovered over us. And I looked up and I gasped. And it's a drop off on one side of the road. You don't want to take your eyes off the road. And my husband was just, I mean, I've never seen him look like that. I mean, he had this look on his face like, holy crap, and I said, do you see it? And he said, yeah, I see it. I said, okay, good.
Don't you love it when that happens? Don't you love it? Don't you love it? Rita and I'm not going to go into the full story, but Rita and I have seen things together a lot, and I enjoy it because we get to experience it together. What I find strange about that is that nobody else sees it. Like there's not thousands of phone calls into the police station that it's not reported on the news. It seems that it was just for us.
Exactly.
I love it when it happens, but it's frustrating. We had this just like you guys, right? We're coming out of the mountains. This UFO flies over our car, and it appears to land in Van Nuys, right in front of us in the valley. And I call MUFON. We rush home. I turn on the news. I'm waiting for the UFO sighting of the century.
Right.
Silence.
Nothing.
Crickets.
Yep.
It was an impossibility to us. But there you go. It happened I can't explain it. And I do enjoy it when it happens that way.
I think it's fabulous. You know, I the one story that really sticks in my mind is my dad on the reservation. He was telling me that they were driving home from one end of the reservation to the other, and it was nighttime, and it's all kind of rolling plains, rolling fields, and there was it was totally lit up on one side of this vast landscape, like a big city. It was just lights, nothing but lights, and you could see these poles kind of sticking up, and you could see people working on these poles, and they pulled over, and you know, my mom said, well, I didn't know they built a city out here, and he looked at her and he said, that's not a city. We got to go. And they got in the car. It was a giant mothership. I mean, it was really, really big. And so they went back the next day. They had to go back and pick something up, and it was gone. There was nothing there.
This was your dad?
Yeah, well, my adopted parents on the Hopi reservation. Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
And how do they live through the experience in that they've got to think about it, talk about it?
Well, sure. But see, they have stories and, you know, sightings that they have experienced their whole lives. I mean, he remembers, you know, seeing ships land in the driveway of their ranch, and as a little boy laying on the knoll and watching this light blink on top of this ship, and then getting really scared and running like crazy back to the house. You know, there's some really there's a lot of activity, especially in places where there's not a lot of populace. You know, it's there's a lot of activity. Now,
you brought up tinnitus, right? That you don't think that the world population, everybody has tinnitus.
Yeah.
On the same view, the tens, if not hundreds of millions of people around the world that have had sightings, that have made contact, they're not crazy either. There is something happening on a world scale, isn't there?
Yes, there is, and you know, people are feeling it on kind of all different levels. Meaning, there's a lot of anxiety right now. There's a lot of people with anxiety, and a lot of people who are stressing out. There's a feeling of, you know, sort of like something's coming. I have people who write me daily telling me that they feel this big earthquake coming, and what should they do? And, you know, I mean, gosh, there's just so many things that are sort of shifting for us, even if it's just in our psyche, it's shifting. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that many people on the planet came from and first incarnated to Earth during Atlantis and Lemuria. It's like we came in at the end of Atlantis and Lemuria. And so many people on the planet have experienced and did experience the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria. And you don't forget something like that. I mean, that was major. And there were land masses that moved, you know, it was big. And so there's a lot of that, you know, there's that karmic thread again. There's a lot of that fear that runs through people because they remember, you know, mass destruction. They remember that. I have clients who had past lives in Hiroshima, when the bomb went off in Pearl Harbor, in World War II and concentration camps. I mean, this stuff it's real and it stays with us, and it is a part of the karmic stuff that we have to work out. So when people feel like, something's coming and something's happening, my advice to everybody is let's go back to basics. Let's go back to, okay, we understand that we're here as infinite souls having a human experience. And there is fear if you want to plug into fear. And there is no fear if you want to sit in a place where you are allowing, the universe, creator, whatever everybody wants to call that, higher power energy, to run the show. And what that means is we have to have trust, and we have to have faith, and we have to feel that we're not going to be, annihilated or abandoned. And this then brings back what you were talking about, the side of the fence that believes all alien life is benevolent. Okay. I don't agree with that. I don't feel that, that all alien life is coming here to somehow make our lives better. Nor do I believe that implants are going to somehow, evolve us. For God's sakes, we are infinite souls having a human experience. If we can't take responsibility and have that evolutionary enlightenment experience, then we got to go back through the playbook and see where we're missing the point.
Well, that's exactly the point. And ancient cultures, before technology, before modern history, ancient cultures fully understood this. Yep. Fully embrace this. You brought up shamans earlier and the Hopi culture, not only here with the indigenous cultures in the United States, but it was all around the world, going all the way back to Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt and beyond and before that.
Right.
And we've lost that vision, that contact of ourselves.
Yes, we have. And we've really this time right now reminds me a lot of 4000 BC when everybody's starting to get squirrely because the demigods aren't coming back, and there's a lot of power shift going on between women, the high priestesses having all the power, to shifting over to the men and the druid practice and all of that. I mean, that was a whole kind of wave that took over as well. And we have so much memory, and people may not recognize this, but we have such a deep memory of stuff in our soul body that when we kind of let go and get out of fear, we can tap into that. I mean, I'm sure your listeners have had experiences where, you've gone to Italy and you've always wanted to go and you just feel so at home there. Or, you've always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon and you feel home when you set eyes on that place. It's like we have past lives in many places around the planet, and those memories are there. We just have to be able to get in there and access that. And when I do past life readings for people, I really try to help them not only understand what that was about, but to resolve what the karmic piece is to that. Because a lot of our lives, we died violently. We had our heads chopped off, or we were burned, or, we died in war. We died in battle. We haven't been the most peaceful species,
No. I've often talked about, if I lived in England, out in the countryside somewhere, right? Just out in the green rolling hills, take a good peek. Because there was a violent battle that happened in that yard.
Yes.
Think about the power of what is going on there. Let's take a break right here. When we come back, Sonja, I actually want to talk about the last few days. We're talking about past lives and regression. Yeah. The last couple of days, I've had the most insane deja vus. Insane. Ooh. We'll talk about all that when we come back. Our guest tonight, Sonja Grace. We're talking about her new book, Dancing with Raven and Bear. a book of earth medicine and animal magic. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You have just listened to a full hour free preview of Fade to Black. To get the full show, all archives, just go to our podcast section at jimmychurchradio.com. You can also sign up to be a Fadernaut in our membership area, where we have downloadable MP3s. Go to jimmychurchradio.com. Go Bagley Tappy.